welcome to the Pod Squad video game show. My name is Russ Gillespie.
And my name is Emma Lewis.
And today's show, first show, is going to be Grand Theft Auto 4's add-ons, stories from Liberty City, in that Lost in the Damned and the Ballad of Gay Tony. And Emma Lewis here has kindly played the games for us to tell us what they're all about. So why don't we start off with Lost in the Damned?
Lost in the Damned. Lost in the Damned tells the story of Johnny Klibitz. Johnny is the vice president of the gang and has been leading the gang for a year whilst their president has been in drug rehab.
Right.
You start the game on the day that you're driving to get Billy out of rehab, so you're going to meet him. It's the big reunion. And what basically happens is that you have led the gang down a very steady business route. You've built truces with your enemies, you've got drug running and weapons smuggling running, but it's all very, very calm, very clear. There's no killings, there's no bloodshed, nothing.
More shirt and tie business.
Yeah,
pretty much. For a biker gang.
For a biker gang, yeah. Billy doesn't really get that philosophy. Gets out of rehab and goes full throttle into, disbanding everything you've done, breaking down all your truces, really taking the gang down a very awful route, and fairly much. So this tension keeps building because Johnny's angry. Johnny's led the gang. He's got them in a good position, and Billy's just like haphazardly wrecking everything around him. And what ends up happening is that Billy gets caught doing a deal and gets pulled back into jail. The gang gets split, and those that were loyal to Billy follow a guy called Brian, he's kind of like Billy's right-hand man after Johnny. And the other half follow Johnny, and the only way to kind of break the tension is Johnny goes and breaks into the jail and assassinates Billy. In amongst all of that, there's the diamond deal that connects all the games.
Connecting the original GTA 4. Exactly,
when you go. And connecting the Ballad of Gay Tony. And in the course of that, one of Johnny's good friends, Jim, dies. Jim's a family man, really. For a guy that's in a gang, he's got a wife, he's got kids, he dies, and it kind of puts the final nail in the coffin of the gang. They burn down their gang house, and the final scene is them watching it burn and contemplating what life's going to bring.
So, what does the Lost in the Damned actually bring to the game? Surely we've had bikes in Grand Theft Auto 4 and we've had missions in Grand Theft Auto 4. Is there any advantage or any sort of growth on the game in terms of bike handling, for example?
I think bike handling has got better. They've definitely improved it for this game, and they had to because you have to ride a bike. Bike is needed for the mission. You have your own bike.
Personal property.
Personal property. You need your bike to be able to go on gang missions. You need your bike to be able to ride in formation with them when you're on missions. They improved the handling. They're not speedy bikes. I wouldn't say you can
They're muscle bikes.
They're not.
Bikes.
They're muscle bikes. They're good for they're good speed for shooting. They're great. But you become quite attached to your bike. You do, and you don't want to wreck it. And you want to look after it, because if you do wreck it, you need to call up your mate Terry to get you a new one. And although you'll have to wait for something like 20 to 30 seconds, you don't want to wait when you want to get on with the game to stand looking like an idiot at the side of the road waiting for this drop off.
Unlike Nico, you can't just jack the closest car and continue the mission.
You can jack them, but you can't do the mission. You can't, because you need the bike.
So how in depth would you say is The Lost in the Damned? You're in part of a gang, you play the story of one person. And with Nico you have lots of people phoning you up to do side missions. A lot of people complained about that because they had to be pulled away from across the city, or you have to say no to this and that. Is this a lot more focused?
It is a lot more focused. You do have side missions, and you do come into contact with people that Nico came into contact, like Ray Boccino and stuff, and Elizabeth Torres, the drug dealing woman who lives up in, is it Bohan or something she lives in? Can't remember. Anyway, you get pulled away, but not as much. You're fairly focused on the story. You stay within kind of like the one area, although you can go off all over the map. You're kind of in the one area doing the one thing, so it's quite good that way.
In that one area you've also got Ballad of Gay Tony. Now there's a connection between Lost in the Damned and Ballad, which is a diamond quest.
Yes.
But before we go into that, why should we even care about Ballad of Gay Tony? What's all that about compared to the Lost in the Damned? It looks a lot more glitzier according to the shots.
Well, they are. They're like totally different. The Lost is all grime and leather, and The Damned is all glitz and glam and clubs
Ballad.
and, you know, not Ballad, sorry.
Almost.
Almost. But yeah, as you can see, you know, it's it girls, party girls, all kind of a up and coming scene. Kind of the Lost. They're like the underworld, I would say.
I mean, the one I found is that the Lost and the Damned is a white biker gang with guys on the street, lots of leather. With the Ballad, Gay Tony, it's black guys, money, clubs, a lot more like professional crime.
Yes.
And is that how it's compared to the Lost and the Damned?
I would say so. I would say, I mean, the Lost is kind of like your gritty, you know, can I hit stuff on the roof? This is the Ballad. I know, he's on a train and he's got a gun. But no, the Lost is kind of like your very like street level crime, whereas the Ballad is more high profile.
So who do you play in the Ballad then?
In the Ballad you play Lewis. Lewis is Tony Prince. Tony Prince is the main character, obviously. That he's gay Tony, basically, and he is gay. So there we go.
Overtly gay?
He's overtly gay. You don't get to see any of that kind of stuff, but you know, he's got a boyfriend and stuff. Lewis is not only an attractive man, but he's muscle. He has got brains. Tony, I don't think, kind of figured that in when he hired him, but he has got brains, and he tries his very best to keep Tony and his clubs up and running, and keep things on an even keel. So
what's the story then of Ballad? I mean, if the story of the Damned is the biker gang splitting up and then going in separate ways, what would you say is the story of the Ballad?
The Ballad, I think they're kind of like bringing through a friendship story, because Tony is high on drugs and is suspicious of everyone, and obviously gets himself into a whole lot of debt that Lewis is having to clear up and deal with. Gets to the point where he's actually given a choice to kill Tony or to go and do something else. He chooses not to kill Tony. And at the end, even though Tony was like screaming at him at some point that you were going to kill me and won't speak to him, at the end they're reunited after a big... Lewis ends up on a plane shooting these guys who've got the diamonds, parachutes out the plane, diamonds fall, they land in a trash pile in this park where he lands, and can't find them, but Tony's there, they're reunited. Oh, and nice little side bit is the tramp. A tramp finds the diamonds and runs off gleefully.
As you do.
As you do.
So, you know, rumour has it, with our couple of minutes left, that when the Lost broke up and they ended their club, they actually joined, well, they ended the gang, they joined the club of the Ballad of Gay Tony. Does that actually happen? I mean, do the Lost gang join up with Ballad, or is that completely separate?
No, I've never heard of that, and it's not something that I ever saw in the game at all. So no, I would say. Something
that happens there. The thing is that Lost and the Damned and Ballad of Gay Tony you can now get on Xbox disc or download, same with the PlayStation Network, looking at about 20 quid for the machines. You get a full map as opposed to part of the main map. Thing is, is it worth paying £20 when you've already paid the equivalent of £40 for GTA 4 for these extra missions?
I would say so. I mean, I paid, when I bought GTA 4, it was near like the 35 to 40 region. GTA 4 is about twice as long, so you're paying.
Like the game.
Yeah, pretty much. You're getting half the price for half the size of game, and you have two very different stories, and you're seeing missions that were in GTA 4 from the other people's perspective, and I find that interesting. Because you do want to know what happens with these characters, you want to know where they go off to and what they do in their lives, and I think this kind of gives you that.
Cool. Well, we've got about 30 seconds left. We've played GTA 4, we played Lost in the Damned, as you have, and Gay Tony as well. We recommend it, 20 quid, go out and buy it or download it today, and you'll have lots of fun.
Definitely.
So, 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
Alright, Pod Squad finished, we'll be back next week. Bye bye.